I have a really, really exciting interview coming up with my friend Greg Bilzerian. He's a very unique past, and it's super, super cool to hear what he has been able to do with what he is trying to do, and ultimately what MSPs can learn from it. I'm trying not to give too many hints, but I hope you enjoy this. This is a bit of a longer format content. I will also tell you, unfortunately, the camera ended up dying or overheating. I'm not exactly sure. I'm still learning this process. So I apologize. I'm pretty sure it overheated because I did hook it up to a fake battery. So it does cut out. However, I did save the audio to my mixer, and I will be putting the audio version up separately on the podcast version. So, or the podcast, if you'd like to listen to it, it is the MSP Heroes podcast. I encourage you to go check it out. I will actually leave a link down in the video description so you can go grab the podcast version if you'd like to listen to the full thing. It's a really, really fantastic show. I'm super excited. I'm glad to call him a friend. I may even put one minor little cuss word in there, and I apologize about that one, but it was a really emotionally striking show, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Greg, thank you again for hanging out with us, and I will enjoy the show. I'll see you later. Hey, how are you guys? My name is Harrison Barron from growth-generators.com. This is a different podcast. This is a different style video here. We are joined by my friend Greg. It's not Bilzerian.
It is, you got it.
It is Bilzerian.
Yeah.
Not related to the other guy.
Dan Bilzerian?
Yeah.
I get a lot of questions about that. We're not related.
All right.
I've not fired machine guns out of a helicopter or whatever it is he does. Actually, the first time I got asked about that, I was like in Europe. Some guy asked me about it. Like,
That's my brother, actually.
Yeah.
So interesting enough story. I teach you guys how to outreach on LinkedIn, right? I think that's where our conversation started on LinkedIn, and we chatted. And I do like private equity investing in the MSP world, but I don't love it. I'm sure we all know the big name out there. I'm not going to say who it is. And some people love them and some people don't love them. And Greg and I hit it off. And he said, "Look, let me come down." I invited him. I said, we should do something together here. So he has a very unique story. This is going to be much longer than they normally are. So fair warning now to people watching. This is probably something you're going to pick up, put down. I'm not going to chop this up into a bunch of little pieces and make you wait on it.
Watch on 2X.
Yeah, watch on 2X. There will be, I will also, when this video releases, there will be the podcast immediately available. So that way you don't have to, I don't want anyone watching anything while they're driving. You can put it on your Spotify or whatever else you use and listen. Great. So full transparency there. I know that this is going to be a longer one. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for it. Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the ride. By the way, he also drove
from DC.
From DC. That's like 6 7
hours.
I'm gonna say like 6 7 hours.
Yeah.
So cool. Tell people a little bit about your story and how you ended up here.
Yeah, I mean, and thanks for having me. Like,
dude,
it's incredible that you've grown so much, and I've listened to a lot of podcasts, and I think that you're at the top, and so glad to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Where do you want me to start?
You can invest in a nice background for us. No, just kidding. No, I mean, start from the beginning. Like, you mentioned that you were a TV host, which I think is very unique.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, though, Christina Klein from Landsweeper, sponsor of the channel, was a Fox reporter for sports, which is super, super cool. She's a rock star.
I was watching a show recently and someone made a joke and they were like, "Oh, those people don't make any money." And the guy was like, "It's sad that you know that, but most people know that." So
that TV people?
They don't. Yeah. You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, the national guys do, but like the local guys, no.
They don't make anything.
I mean,
they make enough to live, but I'm sure it's not like you're not rolling in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the first place to start. I mean, we should probably cut that, but whatever.
No, full send. So you came from there.
Yeah.
Did that for a couple of years.
Yeah. So here's what I did. So I grew up in South Jersey. I grew up as like a huge sports fan.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go be a sportscaster. I mean, you can't necessarily tell here, but like I'm 5'5", so it's like I was not going to be a professional athlete.
Sure.
Should have been, but it wasn't. So I said I'm going to go be a sportscaster, and I did that at Syracuse. That's where I went for undergrad. And then when I was there, like, it was a blast. We announced the football, basketball, and lacrosse games. I loved it. And I felt a pull towards news. And so then I did news reporting for 4.5, 5 years. I think I told you this while we were talking, but like, I'm so much more used to being the one asking the questions. But it was a blast. It's like you're telling a different story every day. I was the local news guy. I was like standing in front of snowstorms and being like, "It's cold outside," like all those things. But also like doing high impact stories about local communities. Sure. And I was in Toledo, Ohio, and you would get like recognized in grocery stores. You're like a little tiny celebrity, all of that stuff. So it was really cool. And then again, after that, I said, all right, let me try something a little bit different. I ended up going the more traditional business route. So I spent the last 10 years in like consulting and then at Amazon, specifically at AWS, which we'll probably get to at some point.
Sure.
Um, and 3 months ago, I started a totally different gig where I'm essentially looking for a business where I will become involved with the business in
Hmm.
sort of an executive role. I have financial backers, a company called Next Gen Growth Partners. They're based out of Chicago, even though I'm based out of DC. And so what I do all day is I talk to business owners. I learn about what they want to do next with their business, how they grew it,
Sure.
and if they want to partner or if they don't. And I feel like I'm doing journalism again. Like it's super fun. You're asking people, why'd you start the business? What's important? Like even
Yeah.
I could do it. Like, hey Harrison, why'd you start the business?
Yeah. That's for another time.
Fair enough.
We could maybe, who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe we'll float the idea of doing a reverse
Yeah,
podcast
that would
after
be
this.
fun actually.
That'd be
Yeah,
pretty hysterical.
that would be funny.
So that's pretty interesting. And then so now you're looking to buy, and if there's an MSP out there, and if at the end of this you say, hey, it's worth it, you have to mention my name so I get credit for it. But so that's pretty unique. So I have a bunch of questions for you because you have a very unique perspective in the fact that you are talking to a lot of business owners, right, who are probably dealing with technology issues in one way or another, and then you're also looking at the MSP space because of the beautiful part about monthly recurring revenue, right?
Right.
Which is why everyone I would hope most people in the MSP space are involved
Yeah.
in that to make that kind of money. Obviously, we're providing a great service to our customers too. Um, but before we get into the more technical things of it, because you literally just stopped at a business local
I
here.
did. Yeah.
What are you seeing as far as business owners' ideas and their reliance on technology
Yeah.
and kind of where that puzzle piece of the MSP fits in?
Yeah, here's what's interesting. So the business owner that I just spoke to, and it happens to be in like we would call it 3PL, like third party logistics.
Mhm.
This is the first business owner I've probably spoken to 10 and asked them the same question where they looked me in the eye and said that their MSP absolutely knows their business. Like their MSP absolutely understands, I think in this case, food and beverage.
Sure.
And so they were working on something specific to a software related to logistics. I don't know logistics super well.
Sure.
But it was the first time. And every other conversation I've had, it's sort of like when I speak about, hey, what do you think of your MSP? Um, they like their MSP to the extent of, hey, my main objective is that, I don't get any calls and they solve my problems and they onboard my new hires and that's great. But whenever I say, did they understand your business? I generally get a no. They don't understand their business.
Mm.
And I mean, I've listened to a bunch of your podcasts and I think there's a level of, um, if you're a generalist MSP versus a niche MSP,
Sure.
there's riches and niches. We all know that. Then I just think that they're one of the things. So we can go back to something that you said. Private equity or any investor, we know why they love MSPs, and you're
Sure.
referring to it. They love recurring revenue.
Yep.
They don't want customer concentration, and generally MSPs don't have too much of a problem with that. I'm sure you've talked about the problem of if you have one customer that's 50% of your revenue. That's
I
a
actually
problem.
haven't talked about that,
Yeah, it's an
but I would
issue.
hope that somebody would, read between the lines in that case.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm happy to answer any questions like let's say someone came to us and said, "Hey, I'd like to partner." These are the things that we would look at. We'd
Mm.
say like, "How many customers do you have? Um, what percentage of revenue are they?" And nothing is like what you would call a total deal breaker. It just changes the structure of the deal.
Sure.
Whether that's, "Hey, okay, you only have two of your customers are a huge percentage of the business. We're probably going to want you to stay on for a little while to make sure, like all of those things."
Yeah.
Anyway, to actually answer your question, but you said we have time.
We have time.
I think what I have found is that to me, what's exciting about MSPs and the opportunity that's there, besides the obvious PE aspects of recurring revenue, because there's plenty of businesses that have recurring revenue. MSPs are not the only one.
Yep.
But MSPs are in this rare position where they actually get to be part of the strategy of the business.
Sure.
Like,
And it's sticky.
yeah. Yeah. But to me, the exciting part is like, this is a services business where you can play a major role in the company's strategy.
1,000%.
You can advise CEOs, you can advise VP of sales, you can do all of that stuff. And I find that exciting. Like, I
Yeah.
find it exciting to be like, do I want to make money? Of course. But I also want my customers to make money, right? Like, I want I want to make a recommendation to the customer based on 10 other customers. It says, I don't know, pick the industry. Here's how you can do trades faster in finance. Here's how you can reduce the amount of time, downtime. And if
Sure.
you're in a logistics business or
Yep.
whatever it is.
Yep.
So that's why I like it. But I do think there's a gap in MSPs being able to like truly advise on growing their customers' business.
I say this all the time,
Yeah,
right? And this kind of brings me back to the point of, um, the riches are in the niches, right?
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being a more generalist MSP. I don't.
Absolutely not. We own one, and it's a great business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good business.
yeah,
There's a couple more inherent problems, right? And the main one is you're constantly dealing with new softwares, right?
yeah.
And new softwares, new businesses, new strategies, right? And I always paint the picture of, if you have 10 customers and they're all in different industries, right? And maybe even a couple of them are in the same industry,
Right,
in the MSP world, right? How many RMM and PSA tools are there? There's not that many,
right.
right? Yeah, there's a lot, I guess, technically, but there's really not. Like,
Yeah,
how many software companies are there for dental practices? 6, maybe 8, 9,
yeah,
realistically out there. Same thing with law firms. Like, and there's only a couple of them that dominate the top 90%, right? It's usually 1, 2, maybe 3 of them, right?
right.
So if you can be a specialist in those spaces, if you can be a specialist in the dental world, the legal world, the finance world, right, whatever it is, and even deeper than that, dental and not just healthcare, but surgeons, not just general
Yeah,
healthcare, right? You can really learn the business and spend some time in the business. When you're a generalist, you might have 8 different customers, and 2 of them are in the same niche, but they're running 2 different softwares. So it's still more work.
yeah,
But if you focus on dentists and you have 10 customers, the likelihood of those 10 customers, they might only have 3 or 4 different softwares.
yep,
The likelihood of 10 dentists all running completely different, right? Because you have the newcomers in there, and some people invest in the newcomers and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that and testing that whole thing out. But like, realistically, if you look at the grand scheme of things, and I think that the niche MSPs have the better advantage in the long term and profitability. But if you're one of the people that, hey, I want people local, God bless. There's
yeah.
plenty of people local to most people, most
I feel like
businesses.
local can be its own niche.
The local can
If it gets
absolutely
to
be
the
its own
point
niche.
where you can actually like advise, now you have to be a little bit more broad, but retail in general. So you're advising restaurants, but
Sure.
also clothing stores or whatever it might be on aspects of the local market. Oh, people in this market use this tool generally speaking more
Yep.
often, or like people in this market. I think local can be its own
Local
niche.
can absolutely be its own niche,
Yeah.
and look, you're probably boots on the ground faster than anybody else,
Right.
right? So that is your huge thing. Hey, at least we can be there on site supporting it immediately.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, like, I usually tell people retail's terrible, but it's not terrible if you find the right retail,
Right.
right? There's cameras and things like that have analytics built in, and you can produce reporting based on where people are going. So, fun fact for you, like the major grocery stores and things like that, they use AI in their cameras to figure out what end caps get the most amount of traffic, and guess what goes there? Either the companies that are going to pay for that spot, or the most profitable liquors go in the end caps that get the most foot traffic through.
How do you know so much about so many industries?
That's a great question for another podcast.
Fair
No.
enough.
Um,
Well, and here's what I'm getting at. You are advising in the MSP world,
mhm.
but you're essentially showing the value of a thought partner who, if you went out and got a grocery store customer, you can say terms like NCAP and things like that.
Mhm.
And you can also do it with about 10 other industries.
Yep.
So when I listen to your stuff, and one of the main reasons I listen to your stuff is because I feel like within the niche world, there's a general learning to it. I told you this, like I listened to your like how to be better on LinkedIn podcast. That's not just for MSPs. Like
100%.
I'm sourcing businesses all day. And there are things where I was like, oh, I do this right, I do this wrong. And I made changes to how I approach things based on your podcast.
I appreciate that. Um, so
Are you just super
how
curious?
Yes, part of it is super curiosity. Um, I I've had a lot of my resume is not on my LinkedIn. My resume is very, very long. When I was young, I worked in a lot of different industries. I worked for a nursery. I worked for CVS. I worked for restaurants. I worked for, just literally all over the place. And I always valued having really good conversations with people. And then I fell into bartending before I went in the MSP world. Um, And bartending, right? Some people go to the bar to hang out with friends. Some people go to the bar to get out of the house, whatever it is, right? Some
Right.
people go to the bar for the right reasons. Some people go to the bar for the wrong reasons. And I bartended for a long time. I don't think I've ever talked about this, so this is pretty interesting.
Awesome.
But I got to meet a lot of really interesting people, and I
Yeah.
got to meet a lot of really successful people, and I got to meet a lot of really unsuccessful people, and I got to hear a lot of people's stories. And um, and I think that really gave me a massive leg up when it came to the MSP world, and then specifically the MSP sales side of things, and the MSP marketing side of things. Understanding how people interact with
Yeah.
technology and seeing things and data driven decisions and all that. And I did go to school for computer programming with an emphasis in or computer science with an emphasis in computer programming. And then one of my best friends, Adam, who I don't know how often he watches, but he does watch some of my stuff.
What's up, Adam?
He was heavily involved in um, the physical security side of things.
Okay.
So when I say physical security, door locks, cameras, perimeter defense, anything like that, right?
One of my colleagues is all over that industry.
Oh,
Maybe we'll
okay.
connect the two of them.
Maybe we can.
Okay.
And so when I was actually in the MSP world, you're just drinking from this fire hose all the time of all this new technology happening, right? And then also I would just, I would go into meetings and networking events and how do you use technology? Like I want to understand like I don't even care if you sign up with me or not. It doesn't That's not the point. But I found it very interesting to understand how businesses use technology and how some businesses are very, old school and pen and paper, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? As long as you're okay with not really having great reports and making decisions in business with true data, right? And then there was businesses that are on the cutting edge of data, right? And they're constantly looking for that like leg, like what is the thing that's going to get me to that next step?
Totally.
So I would just have like really, really good conversations. And then my buddy Adam, where he came into play was he used to sell, I won't promote their product, but he used to sell a door lock. And I was like, oh my God, there's so many of my businesses that would benefit from this. Like I could probably sell this. It turns out it was a bit of a harder sale than I thought it was, but I immediately saw the value. They had a harder time seeing the value of it then. Um, but he also had cameras and things like that. Now, at the time, we were using Meraki cameras, so I didn't really get too involved in the Meraki stuff. And then fast forward, went out, started my own business, was doing more general marketing for a lot of businesses and doing that. And I was building it, but it really wasn't growing to the way that I want to. And I was all over the place. And I don't know why, but when I went out on my own, I just like lost all structure and like sale and that kind of thing, and like what I was going to offer. And I wanted to go start my own MSP, and I had documents on documents of what I was going to do if I started my own MSP that were very different than what my old boss was. And I love him to death. Nothing wrong with him and anything that they did. It was just, hey, I had different ideas,
Yeah.
right? And I brought a lot of those ideas to the table. And so fast forward, right? My house burns down, right? Terrible. And
This is a turning point thing. How long ago was this?
this is like just over 4 years ago.
Okay.
December 20th was the 4-year anniversary
Okay.
of 2025.
And we didn't talk about this in advance, so I don't know, but like everyone was okay.
I lost two of my dogs.
I'm sorry.
So lost two of three dogs. My one dog lived, and I'll breeze past it because I will start crying. But the
Fellow dog lover.
I got them tattooed on the back of my leg. I also have tattoos for people that don't know.
I have a
But
7-year-old dog at home. Yeah.
oh, they're the best. And I was a fireman for 10 years too. So I was always constantly involved in like technology, and like we had to figure out a lot of different stuff, like, security access and how security access works and doors and all that, like just the laundry list. And, it's, I always look at everything. I count how many doors are in a building, how many windows there are, right? If worst case scenario, what happens, right? That's just like what it's built into your brain. Like you go through these trainings that are terrible trainings and terrible ways to think, but you have to think about these things because your life is on the line too. And I'm sure anyone listening that's PD, fire, anything like that has gone through this, probably more, right? Trainings. And so I was constantly like on the lookout, like, okay, what are they looking for? Why do they have this camera here? Like, so I was just always scanning, right? Always scanning. And then the reason my house burning down was a pivotal moment was I needed a job, like really, really badly. I was on my own, but I needed I needed either a big customer or I needed like an extra source of revenue. Um, and my buddy had gotten me a gig for a short period of time just to help because like building a business in an RV is brutal, especially like
That's what you were doing.
yeah,
You were staying in an RV.
I was living in an
Waiting
RV.
for insurance, all
Yep.
that stuff.
So I was living in an RV and for 9 months in my backyard. We did 1 month in an Airbnb, and then crazy story. We were gonna go. We were gonna be homeless.
Yeah.
Because at the time lumber had gotten super expensive. Everybody and their mother during the pandemic was putting extensions on. So we didn't know, like, we had a contractor that was like, we're 3 months out from giving a quote and then 8 months out from starting. So that's a year.
Yeah.
I'm like, we only have enough money to live in this Airbnb for a year. So the insurance company was like,
So this
hey,
is some real stuff.
real shit.
Yeah.
I'm correct. I did it.
I was gonna say it
I
myself,
did it.
but I was told in advance that it's not this.
I did it.
podcast.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that one. Real shit. But the so I was like, all right, my buddy had got me a gig, just remote work, and it was like miserable work. I won't mention the name of the company, but they took a huge hit during the pandemic too. During that time, it was good, and then it was bad. I didn't really mind. It was to get me through. But because my friend Adam called me up and was like, hey, we need somebody to handle marketing and some help us with some sales at a technology company that works in security, right? And I was like, cool. And so I had to learn a lot about the industry very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Which
And you also
furthered
really had to do it because you needed the job.
I needed the money. Like they paid my business.
Need helps you to focus. There have been times in my life where I've been in a need state and it's like, you focus.
Oh yeah. I dialed in and it was cool. I got to work with them and I learned a lot about that industry.
Yeah.
And once again, it was in technology. Like it kept coming back to technology. And at that time, the YouTube channel had started growing on the growth generators MSP side of things. And that was really where, not that that's just how I know a lot about a lot of things like these cameras and all that kind of stuff and door access and people counters. And I mean, the technology goes, and it's also interesting too, because some of these pieces of technology can count how many people are in the building based on their tags on their necklaces.
Yeah.
Right. So, hey, how many people are in the building for the fire department side of me, right? I'm not in the fire department anymore. I wanted to be.
You're sharing all this, by the way. I can't believe you haven't shared this stuff before.
I've never shared most of these things online.
Like as a content creator, I like the story about. It's a very sad story, and I'm sorry to hear that you went through it. But like, I think it explains a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
cool.
But I got to learn a lot there. That company got bought out, and I was, an outsourced contractor. Loved working with them, and they were super cool with what I was doing too.
Yeah.
And then I was going to help merge a lot of this, like, hey, the MSPs needed cameras and that kind of thing, and it was cool because I got to see both sides of it. But all throughout my life, understanding businesses and seeing how people interact with it, and was really, really cool.
I also love the bartender piece. Like I feel, and I just did what I'm about to explain, but I had some sales-ish jobs, and I feel like the goal was always to try as well as you could to essentially make it feel like you were having a conversation at a bar.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I see people doing sales who are less familiar with that, for me, it was, as a journalist, that's the hardest sale. Like you're basically, okay, I woke up at 10 a.m. I didn't know what I was doing. I met a guy at 3 p.m. That guy needs to go on camera.
Yep.
And then I'm going to cut that with a photographer and we're going to put that on the local news at 6 p.m.
Sure.
So this guy doesn't even know who I am. And now I need him to put his face on camera, and with how things are today, that's on there forever.
Yep.
Right. And so it's sort of like, well, a real person conversation that happens at a bar is like you interrupt each other.
Sure.
You use slang and jargon. And I see a lot of people in sales roles are very formal, and you wait for the other person to stop talking, and everyone has to have their own style. I get it, but it's like, I think you're super relatable, partially because you've had all these experiences, and I imagine the bartender experience helped a lot.
Yeah. And it was cool. I got to bartend, on Long Island, and it's funny because I always float the idea. I'm like, man, I would like if there's one what
Nassau,
Suffolk,
yeah.
Suffolk. Although I did bartend in Nassau too.
Nice.
But if there was one job that I could go back to and just do it, like I love what I do now. Don't get me wrong, I love what I do. But like, there's just something magical about bartending. Like, I don't know what I shouldn't say I don't know. It's like you have great conversations. It's always something new. But when you're done, you're actually done. Yeah. And when you're in business, you're never actually off. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. Oh, well, you got to make time you do have to make time for yourself. I take time for myself. I took 2 weeks over Christmas to take time for myself. Yeah. But it doesn't mean my phone's off. It just means I'm not making YouTube videos. I'm taking way less time doing work, right? I mean, at the time I was crunching for the book and all that kind of stuff too. By the way, shout out MSP Growth Playbook on Amazon. Yep. But like that.
Congrats on the book, by the way. I mean,
thanks.
That's huge,
bro.
Yeah, that's a life.
It's.
My mom wrote a book. It took her quite a while to do it, but it's like it doesn't matter. Yeah. She's an author.
Yeah,
you're an author.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Awesome.
And one of the first lines in the book is I failed English.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And the feedback, by the way, insane. At the
Yeah.
time of this, 19 reviews on Amazon, all 5 stars.
That's amazing.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Truly
That's
nuts.
crazy. You created 19 aliases? That's awesome, dude.
That's what do you think? What do you think I did over those 2 weeks, right?
No,
No,
huge
it's.
congrats.
I mean, yeah, I appreciate it. It's been a really cool journey.
But I flipped the script on you here a little bit. I'm asking you a lot, which I'm loving, by the way. I love
Sure.
this, and you already warned the audience that we're going to go long, so you know. But like, I know for me, at the end of the day, I left journalism when I was 27.
Sure.
I identify as a journalist more than anything else. Like
Really?
like I don't have any desire to go back to it. I'm super excited about the stuff I do now, but when I'm essentially doing my job, it's the journalism skills that are my favorite part of the job.
Sure.
It's storytelling, it's working on deadline and all
Mhm.
of that. And it sounds like while you're not going to go back to being a bartender, like there's an identity piece of like, that's where I'm in my flow state. And I'm essentially taking the things that I like the most about that
Sure.
and putting them into what I currently do.
Yep.
What we're doing right now feels like we're at the bar.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Right.
So fun fact, back before Growth Generators, back before even Baron Media Group, which is what Growth Generators was before this, and it's still available. It's still online. There's a podcast called the Brutally Honest Podcast. It's a gray and silver logo, and I had a podcast. And one of the ways that I built my MSP sales pipeline was having a podcast. And I had people that turned in. I was in the top 1% in the world. As crazy as it sounds.
Wait, what?
Yeah, my podcast was in the top 1% in the world for years.
Really?
Yeah.
In terms of viewership?
Yep.
Wow.
Crazy.
Nice.
And you'd never know because like only the top 10 tenth of 1% are the
Yeah.
people that are like vastly known. But yeah, I was in the top 1% for years. And I do miss it every day. But yeah, I love talking to people. I love hearing their stories.
Yeah.
I think it's super interesting. More than
I
anything.
also got to help. Like, you knew that at the end of the day, with some exceptions, you made their day was better after they hung out with you.
My goal is to make everybody's day better after they hang out with me in one way or another.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes I give out some advice that they might not be super happy at the end of the day, but they'll be happy if they listen or even just absorb and contemplate.
You're also not going to hit your goal 100% of the time.
No.
Some of the people you're going to try and help, and they're not going to want to be helped.
They don't want to be helped.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Or, you're very good at, one thing I admire is that you ask for feedback when things don't go exactly how you would want. And yeah, there are also times where it's like your intention was great and your approach was not great. That happens too.
Happens
to me all the time.
Happens.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's funny. It's the worst part about YouTube. The worst. Because some of what I would consider best videos, like where I'm like, damn, like I cannot believe I gave that away for free.
Yeah.
And they don't get any views.
Really?
They get like way less views, almost always, like consecutively, or I shouldn't say consistently, where I get up from the video and I can feel my heart racing. Right? I get up, I'm standing up already, but like I hit stop and I'm like,
that was good.
If there is a video this week or this month to watch that I have made, like, I've tried to put value in every single video. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But there, like in my mind, there's always that one that I'm like, this is my masterpiece of great information. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, right? And I'm like, this is if you're going to watch one video this month that I've produced, it should be that one.
But it was good.
I know it was good.
And yes, would you love other people to watch it? Sure. And is
Of
that
course.
your brand? But that it was good.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's got the best details. It's, in my opinion, the best breakdowns. I'm super excited. I'm super sometimes I don't want to make the video, right? Like it's just normal. Like I do 99% of the time.
This is your job. You do it every day, and nobody likes every minute of their job every day.
Yep.
And I was fortunate. When I was in TV, it was just right before all the YouTube existed.
Sure.
But our content was all about being on actual TV, like over the air television.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, our markets were just small enough that it was, people would get sent diaries on and they call it sweeps, but it was like February, May, September, and November. No, July and November were the most important months. And someone would get sent a book. Like you get sent a book and you would be like, oh, I watched Channel 6 today, blah, blah, blah. And then that book would get sent to Nielsen, and then we would get our ratings. And we would get our ratings 4 times a year. 1 month was July, so nobody cared about it because it's a summer month. So essentially, we got ratings 3 times a year, which meant that I didn't actually have. I mean, I got the feedback loop of people. I remember one time I did a story where on the same day, I got accused of being the best and worst reporter in the world on the same day, like on the same day. But I didn't have like that's hard. Like it probably teaches you that like it can't always be external validation.
No, and
Yeah.
and truth be told, as crazy as it sounds, like I was just having a conversation with my buddy John, the guy that walked out,
Yeah.
and
The guy that you're hiding in the
yeah,
background.
he's in his own office, and but it's funny because like there's I'm gonna have to curse again because it's the name of a book, but my old sales coach was like, Harry, you should read this book, but I don't think you're gonna get that much value out of it, but I think you should still read it. And I was like, all right, fine, like whatever it was. The book name is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah.
And I was like, I read it, and I was like, that's me.
Yeah.
Like,
Like there's another book with a similar title without the profanity, like The Courage to Be Unliked.
oh yeah, probably
Yeah.
similar style. And like on my day to day, I'm just like, look, as long as I know that I showed up to help somebody, and it doesn't have to be like it could be technology related, which is why I love the MSP side of things. It could
Yeah.
be the fire department side, where obviously you're calling when things are not the best usually.
Yeah.
And the MSP side of things, and like just it's I love that aspect of it. So, and if I get to help people and I get to make, and look, some people aren't going to like the advice that I give, or some people aren't going to like you said, it is what it is. The world goes on. I'm going to go to bed happy as a clam because it takes a lot to put me down.
Yeah.
And like a lot to put me. I mean, I've probably had like one sad day in my life, and that was when my house burned down.
Yeah.
Minus that, I would say every other day in my entire life. Yeah, I mean, things happen, but they're all like, it sucks, but it is what it is. Like, you're gonna go on. Like,
Yeah.
that's it, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I talk to people and they're like, wow, that's like, it's terrible to like lose your house. I'm like, bro, it's just a house. Like, it's really not a big deal.
It's a good perspective.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just stuff. Like, if this
I'm
whole
aligned with
office,
your perspective, and a lot of people are not aligned
Yeah.
with that perspective. Yeah.
if the dogs, the worst thing by
Yeah.
light years.
Yeah.
But if the dogs weren't in the house, I would have been like, all right, whatever. It is what it is. Like, it's just stuff.
I agree. I don't have an over attachment to physical stuff. But I still think there's probably this is having covered people that have been like I covered so many fires.
Yes.
Essentially, you hate to say it, but it looks good on TV.
Yeah.
Flames and all that.
Yep. 100%.
But like there's also generally, I'm curious, like, did you feel a little bit of a disorientation, like your safety had been? No, you didn't feel that.
No, I live in chaos. I thrive in chaos.
Got it. Yeah.
I thrive in chaos, which is probably also why I did great in the MSP world
Yeah.
because it's just chaos all day, every day, in most cases. And what I mean by that is it's organized chaos, right? Things are always breaking, things are always happening. You have to be able to pivot and adjust on the fly. You get prepped for a meeting or a lead, and you think it's one thing, and it's not that thing, and you can't let that deter you. And
Yeah.
you have to be very quick to think on your feet, and especially in the sales side of things, marketing you can be a lot more strategic and methodical. But
I love that too. I find that so fun.
yeah, like you
I
just
find
gotta
no script so fun.
you gotta just be able to move. Like even my own videos, they're not scripted. I do layouts,
Yeah.
but like they're not scripted. Like I don't read a script. I'm not gonna say like no. That would take too much time, and then it would confine me to like, what if I got a good idea mid video? Like I'm gonna have to stop or add that in like a weird spot. Like it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Uh,
Look, I mean, prior to this, it's on my LinkedIn so people can figure it out. But I worked at one of the biggest companies in the world. Everybody knows what it is.
AWS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I did like it, but there are times where it's sort of like when you're with a customer, you have X number of programs or things that you can offer. But what I like about when you're smaller is like you can riff. Like you can sort of be like, okay, yes, I generally do offer these 3 products, but I have enough customers saying they want this 4th thing.
That
I'm
I
gonna do
could
this
just
4th
offer
thing.
it. Yeah.
And we could do it over at AWS too. It's not an anti, but when you're in a really big environment, it just becomes harder to sort of riff. Wherein,
And you might not be able to recommend a product that isn't yours.
yeah,
Oh yeah, you could probably find something like that. Not like you might know, right? But you're not going to recommend it, right? Because God forbid, and especially companies that big, they're monitoring your phone calls.
right. And I didn't even think about that part. It's more like, wait, to do something different. First of all, you might have something that makes some money, but when a company is $100 billion company, like it's hard to even convince people that's a good idea. Then we all know this, like in really big environments, like it's really hard to actually align incentives so that everybody's doing the same thing. And
Mhm.
it's like, okay, this is a great idea, but this is going to mean Dave has to do something different, like it's hard.
Yeah.
Whereas, in this more lower middle market or smaller market world, I think there's a little bit more flexibility. Now, the flip is I could be the worst employee in AWS history. There was no way I was going to sink the company. Like that
Sure.
company is as safe as it possibly comes. And the flip
Yeah, yeah.
is, there's a lot more on the line and there's a lot more risk and, uh, you eat what you kill and all
Yeah,
that
you gotta
stuff.
keep everyone
Yeah.
you gotta keep everyone rowing on the same boat,
Yeah.
hopefully in the same direction,
Yeah.
at close to the same speed so it doesn't get, crazy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting aspect of all of that.
Yeah.
Um,
So should I stay in MSPs? I'm just kidding. I'm going to, but I'm curious what you think.
100%.
Yeah. You
I
like it.
yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And the cool part is I think MSPs I genuinely believe MSPs are not going anywhere anytime soon. I've heard some people be like, "Oh, you got to get out of MSP world. It's going to." Bro, this isn't like breadboards and phone calls from back in the day, right? And even then, there's still like,
Yeah.
the craziest thing in the world. I'm the oldest of five siblings.
Oh, I don't know
Things
that.
that I still don't talk about on the internet, but
Yep.
I'm the oldest of five siblings.
Yep.
And I have two brothers, two sisters, and my youngest brother called me the other day. He's 11 and a half years younger. So I'm 33. He's 20, what is that? 22, I think, depending on when his birthday falls. I think
I am so proud of myself right now. You are just spilling it.
spelling it. Nobody's
Yeah.
ever gotten any of this
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it is on the internet, but it's not on the growth generator stuff.
Fair enough.
And he called me up and he's like, "Hey, I forget what it was. It was like it was like a computer problem."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, just snip that really quick, like with a screenshot of it." And I was like, he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, hit the Windows key, type in snip. It'll open up a snipping tool, and then just grab that so we can save it. And then we're gonna open up another window, whatever it was. I forget exactly what we were doing." And then I was like, "Hey, just open up this notepad and copy that data back into there so we can see both things at the same time, and then we're gonna work through it." And he's like, "You can have a notepad on your computer?" And I was just like, "Is this real life? Like this is my blood,
Yeah.
right? I'm the techie in the family. It talks about it in the book, and he didn't know that there's a notepad on there.
Yeah.
He didn't know snipping is a. And I was just like,
This poor brother of yours just got put on blast.
I love him to death, but and I'm just like, this is so crazy.
Yeah.
But what blew my mind more than that is he's also resourceful. He's a very smart kid, and I know I would have to imagine he went to other people before he called me,
Right.
right? Because I'm 700 miles away, right? And obviously my phone's always open to my family. But the fact that I'm willing to bet that he probably asked other people and they also didn't know scares the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but also, right. In this specific example, I agree with you. But it also shows like
and he goes to
but you work with tech people all day.
yes,
You know?
but he goes to a top tier college
Yeah.
full of very smart individuals.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But there's book smart and pragmatism and
100%.
all that stuff.
But I just, and,
Like you said in your book, you failed English or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you figure it out, but it was just like, it is concerning. And this is not, I always thought, like somebody told me, they're like, "Oh, the next gen, like the younger generation doesn't know how to use computers. Like
Yeah.
they only know how to use like apps and working in the actual app. They don't understand like Windows. They don't understand, Mac is a little bit, I would say easier, but it's much more confining as far as like what you can do with it." And it blew my mind. And somebody told me, and I was like, "There's no way." But I'm not hanging out with 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds on a regular basis. And if I am, it's not there. It's they just happen to be in the vicinity of me when I'm out and about. And somebody had told me, I'm like, "There's no way. There's no way that the younger generation they can't." They grew. I remember getting my Nokia brick
Yeah.
in 7th or 8th grade, and I had to pay the card for minutes.
Yeah.
And now some of you are probably like, "Oh my god, I remember getting that like way back in the day." Whatever, right? I never had a beeper, but I know what a beeper is. And
Yeah.
but I just was like, you grew up with technology, and the fact that you don't know how to do that is crazy to me. And somebody told me, and I was like, "There's no way," and then my siblings had never really asked me for technology help, and then it did, and I was like, it just confirmed, it was immediate confirmation bias of
Yeah.
all the
We're
mess.
always going to be here, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Someone's gonna need us,
100%.
Yeah. And even if they
100%.
can do it, they're still gonna at times want other people to do it.
Yes, and
But the
and
industry is
it's
gonna
easier.
change. You do
It
agree with that?
Of course.
Yeah.
We had dial-up
You're
back in
not
the
like
day.
a Luddite over here.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no. You gotta be willing to shift and adjust, and you're an idiot if you don't think that you're gonna have to shift and adjust. And if you're, a little pitch for you, if you're an MSP that is not willing to adjust in technology, you should probably start looking for somebody to buy it. Because if you're not going to, and this is, I'm not saying this because Greg is here, but I've said this on my membership calls. If you are not going to shift and adjust with technology on a regular basis, then you are going to be either left behind.
Yeah.
And truth be told, it's an ethical I consider it an ethical problem. I'm very strong on ethics. I'm also an Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
And
I'm an ethics guy too.
oh, are you
But
really?
not an Eagle Scout.
Oh,
Like
and
huge on ethics. Yeah.
and you're doing a disservice to your customers.
Yeah.
You are holding them back from their growth potential by not giving them. Look, you don't have to change technologies every single year, every 2 years, but realistically, you should be evaluating the technology stack that they're using, why they're using it, and most importantly, how they're actually using it.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're aligned. I think one of the reasons why I like your content is because it's clear that like you care a lot about the customers. Like
Yeah,
I care a ton about the customers.
yeah,
Like this is my favorite part of the job. Talking to customers is my
sure,
favorite part of the job and all of that. I'll say like to what you said about I'll kind of look in the camera and say there's another way that we would say exactly what he said, which is essentially if you're looking for someone that wants to grow your business with you and maybe there's an aspect where it's like, hey, you haven't done sales and marketing in a while or whatever it is, like look to us. Like we would love to partner
sure.
with you. You just said it in a different way, which is, hey, if you're not growing it out, but
Yeah, I mean, if you're not growing, you're dying, right?
yeah,
Like, I'm definitely a firm believer in that. Like, if you're not actively adding customers on a regular basis, right? The industry standard for most MSPs is 2 customers per year.
yeah,
Makes me sick to my stomach, right? But like, I have a bunch of friends that have small businesses, small and medium sized businesses. I have friends that own $50 million companies, and I have friends that own $100,000 companies. And technology can almost always make the business better in
yeah,
one way or another, right?
I agree.
Regardless of the industry.
Agreed.
And I think part of why I care so much about the MSP space is because I genuinely care about who they're servicing.
Mhm.
And if they're not going to do the right things for their customers, then I'm not doing the right thing.
Yeah, and going back to what we were talking about before, like they actually have scale impact opportunities. Like a
Yeah.
really good MSP,
It's one of the only businesses in the world that can impact almost every business out there.
yeah, you can impact so many different businesses. Like our firm looks at B2B services businesses, and that includes some blue collar businesses and
Mhm.
trades businesses. Those are great businesses. Very rarely are they going to impact the revenue of the customer or the strategy of
Sure.
their customer.
Yep.
Maybe they do something like unclog a toilet or cut grass or whatever it is, and that's
Sure.
great, but it's not going to have the scale impact of what an MSP does.
Yes.
It's why I think I started to get into this, but it's why I like MSPs.
Sure.
Like it's why to me, um, as a firm, Next Gen Growth Partners, like we love B2B services businesses, we love recurring revenue. Um, we love industries that are growing, all of that.
Mhm.
Greg, love being part of the strategy.
Sure.
And so for me, we didn't talk too much about like how the role is a little bit different, but I'm backed by a private equity firm, but I'm looking for one company to buy.
Sure.
So over a 2-year period, I meet with a lot of business owners and find that business owner who says, Greg, I want to work with you.
Mhm.
Stay on. We want you to stay on. But over time, like let's work on this together because we really love what it is that we're doing.
Sure.
And for me, this is the industry that makes sense, makes the most sense.
Yeah. It was funny because I've been now out of the MSP world, and I've made a
Yeah.
public announcement that I'm working on, building an MSP,
Yeah.
and very slowly, I have a bunch of things on my hit list before I really take off on that. But I got the opportunity, I think it was last year, to go into an MSP, and they were a bigger MSP, couple $1 million,
Yeah.
and I got to spend a lot of time with them. I spent, I think, 2 weeks on site with them, and like it was like reliving the glory days.
Yeah.
And I was like,
You were back in there.
yeah, like I wasn't doing like the technician stuff, but I was just like,
You like rolled up your MSP sleeves.
yeah, like I was just like, oh, we're getting dirty. Like I'm going on sales calls with them. Like
Yeah.
I won't mention who they were. They're a great
Yeah.
MSP.
Yeah.
I helped them with some sales marketing.
Yeah.
And figuring out some things. And it was just like, and I've done it a couple times since then, but I was just like, this feels so good.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, damn, like I do really miss that side of things where it's just like you have technicians, and you know that they're solving problems. Like you have a team, like you have operations, you have all these different aspects. You have accounting, billing, servers that are going out. You have sysadmins and all that. And I'm just like, this is it. This is like, oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And like you always question, like, am I doing the right thing for myself? Like, am I doing the right thing for myself? Am I doing the right thing for my family? It was cool, like being there. And I was like, I am 100% in the right spot.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great
Like,
clarity.
I
I'm
appreciate
happy
that.
for you on that.
It gave me a lot of like,
I have goosebumps hearing that story.
oh, do you really? That's
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, I think when people find the thing that they like marries all the stuff that they do and they
Yeah.
really love doing it, like that's great.
Yeah. Like, by the way, Growth Generators is not selling to PE or investors for the very long foreseeable future. We're just, actually, Greg and I were just talking, this is the tip of the iceberg for a lot of what I have planned down the road.
Here's
But
the thing, Harrison, like a lot of your either customers or subscribers or followers, or all
Mhm.
these people that are in your life, they are getting near daily emails from people that want to buy them.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, they're the bell of the ball right now.
Mhm.
MSP owners are, I went to one of the giant conferences in Orlando 2 months ago.
Mhm.
I want to say that I mean, this is not an actual number, but 20 to 25% of the sessions were about M&A. Were about,
Really?
yeah,
That
yeah.
is
And
crazy.
and
It's a
then,
lot of,
like you end up in you go to lunch and you're just sitting next to a random MSP owner. And, I'm a big fan of like find out everything you can about what's going on in your customer's life. And I'll just be like, hey, just show me your email, and they'll show it. And the emails will say like, we care about your legacy, we're private equity with a heart, like all these things that, I'm sure that they're true. But right now, your this world has so much M&A interest. And so uh, I think trying to think through like what it is that you want. And then also like I'm always happy to take a call with anyone to just like explain terms. Like all of a
yeah,
sudden people are throwing terms at you and it's like, what does role equity mean? Like what does that mean?
sure.
Like what is we're gonna retrade? What is a term sheet? Like what is all of that stuff? What is an LOI? What's a purchase agreement? All of that. Because right now they're getting flooded. I
Going?
guarantee I can't speak for all of them, but depending on how available they are via SEO, like, and also there's so much technology right now that can just identify them. There's a million different types of software where it's like you can build a list, you can then create an email marketing campaign, and it's like,
You could build a list, validate that list, and cross-reference that list with other bits of information to make sure it is like the most accurate. It's
yeah.
crazy.
In fact, when you did your podcast about SDRs, I was thinking like, I was like, oh, my job. So essentially what my job is right now is to make one gigantic sale.
Yeah.
And that is to buy a business.
Yep.
Right. It's one gigantic sale. Even though we're the ones that will be contracting, it's one gigantic sale.
Sure.
And I'm doing sales, like,
Mhm.
and so whether it's me doing it personally or like have some shout out to them, awesome interns who are starting this quarter, like we're doing sales. So there's an SDR component. I'm not hiring someone under the SDR title, but it's still the same
It's the same
concept.
Yeah.
And like, and I'm doing SDR related activity and then getting warm leads and then driving to Charlotte and hitting every city in between and talking to them. I was I was originally going to fly down here. I think it's kind of like a serendipitous thing. Like I
Sure.
was going to fly down here from DC, but like, everyone has their flaws and I'm not a great planner. So I didn't buy the flight
Sure.
when it was $250.
Anything under like 6 to 7 hours, I just drive it no matter what.
Right, but so then when I went and saw the flight, it was like 550. I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to drive." And then it's like, okay, well now I'm driving for 6 hours and I'm hitting Richmond and Raleigh and Greensboro and
Sure.
all of that. I'm just going to hit some people up.
Absolutely.
And I
do the exact same thing, by the way.
had a bunch of awesome, really
Pre
conversations.
marriage life, pre dating my wife now
Yeah.
life. My favorite thing, I told her, she's not so happy with it. My favorite thing was doing road trips.
Yeah.
I am a sucker for a road trip.
But why do you like them? Like I don't like being in the car.
I love being in the car.
Oh, you like being in the car?
I like being in the, I like
You like driving?
I like driving. I like being the passenger. I like listening. I like one of my favorite things is when I make the trek up to New York and I drive.
Yeah.
And like I don't have like a luxury car or anything like that, but
Yeah.
I get to sit down and like it's kind of the only time that I really get to be with my own thoughts.
Yeah.
For like long periods of time.
Yeah.
And I get to listen to books. I get to listen to my podcasts.
Yeah.
And
You also can't really beat yourself up for not being more efficient because you're literally doing the only thing you can do.
oh,
which is
you
drive.
can't do anything else.
Can't do anything
You
else.
could do that. And
We don't advocate for being on your phone.
No,
like,
you can't. You can't. I mean, I make calls. I call
Yeah, of
people.
course that.
I
Yeah.
call people just to chat with them. People I haven't talked to in forever. People I have talked
Yeah.
to in a while. And like, I'm like the kind of guy that like I'm not calling you because I want something out of it.
Yeah.
I'm just calling you to be like, hey, we haven't talked in a long
Yeah.
time. Like, how is everything? Like,
Or you're on hour 3 and you're super effing bored.
yeah,
Yeah.
it happens, right? Like it happens. I crush my books in the car. I listen to my podcast in the
Yeah.
car. At some point or another, like it is a 12-hour drive up to New York from here, but
Yeah.
I love it. Like I love the road trip life, and I would go like when I was single and living on Long Island, and I had some time, and I built I built Baron Media Group pre growth generators, and even growth generators now. I built it so I could take it really anywhere I want.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not. I'm tied to physically now a lease to this building, but like it's really not that much money. I could just leave whenever I want. And
Yeah.
but like I love like I would just be like, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" And they're like, "Nothing. Why?" I'm like, "Great, I'm gonna come see you." And
It's
they're like,
amazing how many people are available.
and
Like even super busy people, especially if you're willing to be flexible. Like I ended up seeing a guy today at his warehouse
Mhm.
because it's like, all right, fine. I'll walk around while you do your job.
Yeah,
That's
we'll just
awesome.
chat. Yeah,
Yeah,
and see what you're doing.
exactly.
And yeah, I would just call people out of the blue. I'm like, "Hey, I know you're here. You got some time tomorrow?" And 9 times out of 10, they say yes. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Great, let's make something happen."
Yeah.
And like it didn't even have to be anything crazy, but like I missed you as a person, and like I'm one of the only people I know. I try to make a really good habit of it. I call people on their birthday.
It's awesome.
And you sent me a Christmas card, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Um, but like I call people on their birthday, and they're like, "You don't have to call me." I'm like, "I know, but I
Yeah.
guarantee you the only other person that's calling you is your mom."
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "I'm not calling you because I want something out of it. I'm calling you because everyone should get called on their birthday."
Yeah.
And I have some time, and I remembered, and I want to call you and wish you happy birthday.
My
That's
oldest
it.
friend since I was 8 calls me every year on my birthday.
Yeah, like it's
Like
the
really
coolest thing.
cool. Also
Yeah,
because it's like your family knows your birthday, and your friends like obviously via Facebook and this and that, but like
sure.
this guy just knows my birthday.
Yep.
And it's awesome. And I
Yep.
look forward to it every year and I stop what I'm doing and it's
Yeah.
really cool. And it's small.
It's a 1 minute phone call.
Yeah. Yeah.
At most, it could be a 1 minute phone call, and it's just like, hey, it leaves that impact. Like,
Yeah.
hey, happy birthday.
Yeah.
That's it. You made it another year around the sun. Like,
Yeah.
kudos to you, man.
Celebrate that.
And and it's funny in the fire department we had this mentality of like, there's always a reason to celebrate, right?
Yeah.
And there's plenty of times where I watch the sun
Well,
come
you
up.
guys saw some awful stuff.
Awful stuff.
Yeah.
Got to be really cool stuff.
Yeah.
I have a box actually when my house burned down when I was moving, so there's still boxes of things that I'd like to unpack still that I just was like, I'll just wait till the next house. Like I'm not gonna unpack it now. And I don't have the room for it. Like I have like old fire department memorabilia, which is probably why you guys don't see any of it because it's still locked up
Yeah.
in boxes. That never got
You're an interesting
unpacked.
cat. You are not super upset that the house burned down, but you are a sentimental guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I would have been like,
Because that's what everyone always says. Like I do those stories and it'd be like, I can't replace the pictures. I have insurance on the car. I can replace the car.
Yeah.
I can't replace the photos
Yeah.
or the 3-year-old's art.
yeah, I mean, if I lost everything, like truly, if I lost everything, I would have been like, yeah, it's just stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it is cool. Like, I love that I have that kind of stuff. But I still have all my friends in the fire department. Like, I still chat with them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Can't get tied to sentimental. I mean, you can get tied to sentimental things, but like, it's just stuff at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
you should be thankful that, like, I'm thankful. I wish I was home because I would have stopped it, right? But we made the best of a absolutely terrible scenario. So, but yeah, I call people and wish them happy birthday and see what's going on, and if I can be available for a phone call, and
Yeah.
sometimes people are going through tough times, and I catch them at the right time,
Yeah.
and I can be a shoulder to lean on, and
This is why I've this thing that I've been doing for the last 3 months, essentially my approach to it is use your network as much as possible.
Sure.
Again, you can create a million lists and everyone can create those lists. The only thing that's different about me and is different about you is like the people I know. And it's
Yeah.
not that I know better people.
that's the
than you.
relationships that you
It's
have.
just those are the people I
Mhm.
know. And as you probably know, like it's not when you're networking, it's not usually like your best friend that gives you the best lead because they would have already told you if they knew it. It's
Sure.
like the second connection, the third connection, it's like, sort of I guess they call it like loose connections, right?
Yep.
So in this process, I'm like trying to connect with as many people as possible. I'm sending out my newsletter, this and that. And I'm talking to this one guy who's a financial planner. Financial planners are really good for us to talk to because financial planners have customers or clients who might be getting ready to exit
Sure.
or something like that. They know that, oh, this guy owns this small business or that small business. And he's like, hey, you should talk to this guy that I work with, an accountant. And he says the guy's name. And I'm like, what? Say it again. And I'm like, Officer Randall? And he's like, yeah. And it's like the guy who was my DARE officer when I was 10 years old, who taught me not to do drugs. Good job, by the
The
way.
most failed program, by the way. like actually failed program. There's a ton of studies on it.
Yeah, but I would never reconnect with that guy. And then all of a sudden, like, he's like not my accountant, and we're having conversations about like what kind of businesses do you know, and it's like, it's fun. And I think I think probably the reason why I like sales and that sort of activity is like if you enjoy the process, yeah, ultimately there's nothing more exciting like someone just called you and it's like I just closed a deal.
Sure.
Closing a deal is a high and people can keep chasing that high. Like I
Yep.
love
Yep.
closing deals,
Yep.
but I also love the process. And like I got reconnected with my dare officer. Like
Yeah. That's
that's
cool.
cool.
That's cool.
It's
That's cool.
cool. Yeah. So to me, this has been a blast. And so I hope your people reach out and, even if it's like, hey, I'm not ready yet, but Greg, I want you to answer some questions. It's a
Sure.
no strings attached thing, like all of that. And
Take advantage of it. I
yeah,
think I've learned.
I'm a free resource, essentially, is what I am.
Yeah, I've learned, and that was like the best thing about like life experiences, right? Like I learned so much on sales I closed and sales I didn't close and networking
Yeah.
events that I went to because I made great friends. Like one of my best business friends, his name's Jonathan, sells business insurance, fantastic. And if anyone needs a referral, feel free to
Yeah.
ping me.
Wait, what does this sell?
Business insurance.
I want to talk to this guy.
Oh yeah,
He probably knows businesses.
a lot of them.
All right.
Yeah,
What
I'll
up,
make an
Jonathan?
introduction.
Yeah.
And like I think I'm super thankful for him and my accountant. My accountant. I met a bunch of really good business people, but they taught me so much. They taught me about like business insurance and why it's important, accounting, and how to be good at accounting. And I'm still terrible at it. And I love my accountant Josh. And Josh, if you're watching, I love you to death. And but like, and they also made a ton of introductions for me for sales,
Of
and I got
course.
to hang out with like really cool people. And because they were really good friends with them, they were willing to spend time with me. And whether or not it turned into a sale, for me, it didn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like yes, I went to keep my job at the time, right?
Sure.
But I get to learn so much about so many people's businesses, whether it
Right.
was divorce attorneys, business attorneys.
Right.
I spent a lot of time hanging out with attorneys, IP attorneys, intellectual property attorneys. I got to hang out with tons of business owners in the healthcare space, and just all these other and sometimes I became a sale, and sometimes they didn't become a sale. And I wasn't there to make a sale. I was there to just who do you know? Who can
But
I talk to?
like people say, like, oh, do you have bad calls? Not really. Because no.
It's only a bad call if you think it's a bad call.
Yeah, but also like I learned something, or even if you had a rejection in that call, like great, that's helpful too.
Sure.
I mean, I guess the only time where things sort of feel like a bad call is when it feels like the person on the other end is maybe stringing you along or it's disingenuous. Like that's the only time.
Yes.
But also that's on them. I never view that as sort of
Yeah, like, hey, look, maybe that was their goal, like, is to
yeah.
keep you on the phone or whatever it is, or
Yeah.
and like I
We've
tell
all been the stalking horse at times. There are times where it's like,
100%.
hey, I just want your bid because really I'm going with this other guy, but I'd like to get him 5%
Yep.
cheaper or whatever it is.
I told somebody the other day because we offer cold calling training at MSPers, which is sick. We're the only ones that do it. We do it once a month, and you can come in and role play with other people.
It's the one thing I struggle the most.
Cold calling.
I don't struggle to do it.
If you need to join MSP
I
Heroes,
just don't do it.
yeah, you gotta do it. And I've done tens of thousands of phone calls at this point, but
Yeah.
it was funny because one guy was like, "Well, what if they don't want our services?" And I'm like, "Of course." If you live in the dream world of everyone that you call is going to want your services, like you can't, if they're happy with who they have, they're not going to just be willing to buy, right? And some guy was like, I got cursed out the other day. I'm like, good. And he's like, what do you mean good? And I'm like, dude, you're calling somebody in the middle of their day.
Right.
You don't know if their wife just sent them divorce papers,
Right.
so their siblings in the hospital,
Right.
right? They might have just bought a house. They could be going through a million different. They might have just gotten rear-ended on the way to work, and it was for their biggest sale of the day. And now and they lost the deal because they're late because somebody decided to rear-end them and isn't willing to give them another shot at the table, whatever it is, right? And they lost it, and you happen to be the one that called in the middle of them.
It's totally out of your control.
Like, yeah, that's just life. Like, it
I
happens.
was thinking as you were saying that there are life-changing things that have happened to me and happened to you in which you don't know the reason.
Yeah.
Meaning, you might have applied for a job and got rejected because the guy got in a fight with his wife earlier in the day.
100%.
And if you had gotten that job, you would have moved to town X, you would have met person Y, and your life would be
100%.
totally different for something that was completely out of your control.
Mhm.
Or the guy just had a great day. Like, we're always trying to figure out, because it is very competitive, like why do business owners ultimately take some calls? Because they do take some calls.
Sure.
Right? And like oftentimes I hear, I was in a good mood that day.
Yeah.
I just had a great sale. So it's like, I was going through my day and I chose to email you on a Thursday at 5 p.m. in which you had a really great thing happen on Thursday at 4 p.m. But if I emailed you Tuesday at 10 a.m.
Wouldn't have been a good day.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's just like, so then it's just about take as many shots.
Your life is a culmination of every decision you've ever made up to that point.
Yeah. And other people's decisions that you don't even know.
And you don't even know. Like my life, like it's so funny because truth be told, if my house didn't burn down, MSP Heroes might not be a thing.
Right.
Growth generators might not be a
Right.
thing. I probably would have gone back and just been like, I could go get a job making more money with less stress and just I'll work in corporate and put
Yeah.
in, truth be told, minimum effort because at that point, like I was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, like I know what I need to live. I know I'm happy. I have, at the time 12 chickens and 3 dogs and I'm okay. Like I'm content. Like I'm not yes, I want more, but I'll just take the money, squirrel it away and buy another house then.
I feel like viewers are gonna be pissed if I don't. 12 chickens?
Yeah, I have 12 chickens. Now I have 10. 2 of them have passed away,
I'm sorry.
unfortunately. Hey, look, there. Life happens, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I have 10 chickens home.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everyone, you like if you're going for a job interview, you always tell the story of like why everything was great to how you got there. But
Sure.
like for me, for example, I love where I am now. This is the best job I've had since I
Same.
was a
Yeah.
reporter, and that was 15 years ago when I
Mhm.
left reporting. So I am super happy. If I had been offered CEO of Amazon, I would have taken that job.
100%.
Like,
100%.
yeah, like I wasn't,
Yep.
and I not even close, not
Yep.
even within like 10 levels of it. But
Yep.
like, so you just,
Yeah, I mean, life is a culmination of things like, would I have this office? I don't know. If I didn't, as crazy as it sounds, some people know I have an Airbnb also.
how cool.
And
In the Charlotte area?
like another mile away from here.
Got it.
And like crazy, like, yes, I kind of wanted the office, but it wasn't a
You
necessity.
could offered me up accommodations.
I think I did. I said I have an Airbnb. I blocked off. I could have blocked it off for you, and you're like, no, I'll stay in a hotel. I said, all right, fine. I feel like I definitely offered because I'm usually pretty giving.
I think
But the craziest part is, like, talk about turn of events, right? We're pretty far off from MSPs, but
yeah.
one of my best friends here is my financial advisor. He became my financial
Yeah, I
advisor
wanna
because
talk
we're
to him
friends.
too, by the way.
You can absolutely do that. But he invited. I met him at a network. I met him at a Chamber of Commerce event,
Uh-huh.
and I shouldn't say never. I was going to Chamber of Commerce events, but I knew I wasn't going to get anything out of it because what's the likelihood I'm going to find an MSP that needs my services there at that time? They happen to show up to the same meeting, and then they're like, "Yeah, I need to help with sales and marketing." Right?
Yeah.
Pretty darn low, and there's very finite number of MSPs
Yeah.
in a region that goes to the Chamber of Commerce events. So I met him. He invited me to darts. My current real estate agent wasn't available. I hit up him, who also played darts with us, and then we were looking for a property, and he then by default became our real estate agent because I needed to see properties. And then, um, and then one day I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for an office." He goes, "Dude, I would love an office," and that is literally why I have this office,
Yeah.
right? And the reason you're here, because
But
if it
you
was at my
put it out into
house,
the world.
I did.
Yeah.
I
mean, you
did,
have
but
to put stuff out into
if
the
I
world.
didn't have the office, you probably wouldn't be sitting. I mean, we would have done something
Yeah.
probably,
Yeah.
but it would have been Zoom.
Right. And
Nothing's better than in person.
And you and I would have, we wouldn't have the before conversation. We would probably cut it shorter. You'd be like, I have a hard stop at this time. You'd be
Yes.
reading emails. I'd be reading emails, blah,
Yes.
blah, blah. And it wouldn't be all of this. We're all just doing improv, and improv is just yes and. And it's
Yes.
like, I don't know. Some people are more comfortable with that.
Yes.
And, so like to me, it's like, this is meandering and it's going to end up somewhere awesome.
That's the best part about,
Yeah.
like, that's what I loved about, and that's also how I learned a lot of stuff. I did 131 episodes on podcasts.
Yeah.
That I learned a lot on.
Yeah.
Of people of all different industries.
Yeah.
But just a culmination of life. Like every decision I've made,
Yeah.
up to that point is makes who
How have
we
you
are.
got to the point? I'm going to project here, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But how have you gotten to the point where it's like something happens and you're asking a customer? We'll use a customer example, but you're asking a customer for feedback. The person decides to. No one ever does it, but let's say theoretically somebody left your MSP Heroes, right?
Mhm.
You turn around and ask them for feedback because you genuinely want to learn, not because you think Harrison's a bad guy or you're personally upset about it. How did you get to the point where you're sort of like separated your ego so that you could actually hear feedback to improve?
Yeah,
I feel
life
like that's
happens.
really hard. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't think the average. I think it's hard. It's
Yeah, life happens to a bunch of different people. For me, like, yeah, I look at it and I get a notification like so and so canceled, right? And then I always try to get feedback. Like,
Yeah.
feedback is super. I think that's also what made me really so. Because you've made it this far in the episode, I'll release one of my more secretive golden nuggets. But I record a lot of my sales calls. I record almost all of them.
yeah.
Especially when I was really doing sales. So I'd record all my calls and then I would go back and listen to them and figure out how I can get better. So when I was at ScaleCon 24, I was on a panel and they were talking about like, yeah, it takes typically salespeople to like 6 months, most of the time up to a year to like get decent at sales. And I was like, I was good at sales in like 3 months.
Right.
Like I was like killing it in 3 months.
Yeah.
Right. Like, yes, there was a ramp up period, but like literally 3 months in, it was like I had a full pipeline. And deals were getting closed regularly.
Yeah.
And
Why?
because I was how do I shorten that feedback loop? Everything's always been everything in my business, in my entire life, is how do I shorten that feedback loop?
Yeah.
And
You're also big on making life as easy as possible for the other person.
100%. I want to make life as easy as possible for me, and I want to make life as easy as possible for the other person, right? I don't want you to have to repeat things. Like if I was there and I was supposed to be listening, I should be listening. And if I'm not going to be listening, right, and things happen, then I need to have something to go back to,
Totally.
right?
Yep.
So recording sales meetings, and that was one of the things that I think really allowed me to I shouldn't have said this, that was stupid,
Yeah.
why didn't I ask this question? That was a
Yeah.
very obvious point that I could have asked this question, right?
Yeah.
And that got me to be very, very good. So and then now in business, I ask people, and sometimes people, I get feedback. I try to get as much feedback as I can.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10 people cancel for they don't have the money for it, which is nuts, because it's $97 for a membership to our, at the time of recording, it's
Everyone has
$97.
their own situation.
But like life happens, right? Like,
Yeah.
hey, I got to cut down on bills. My, something happened in the family, and I've heard it, from people. I'm like, yeah, look, I get it.
Yeah. But I think the hard thing, I mean, let's use an example of like Claude or ChatGPT.
Mhm.
Like we all know this now at this point, but it's like they are programmed to tell you what you want to hear.
100%.
Like you have to go out of your way, and I now do it.
Mhm.
Like I could say to Claude, like, "Hey, I'm going to go on this podcast, and I'm going to curse out all. I'm going to say all of Harrison's customers are clowns."
Yep.
And they're going to tell me all the reasons why that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I have to literally say like, "Well, tell me why it's not a good idea."
Yeah. You got to
And-
ask for the other side of it.
And that's the same when you're asking a customer for feedback. Like I often find you have to get to the point where you can coach that customer, or like let's say someone decides, "Hey, Greg, I'm not going to sell you my business."
Mhm.
You have to coach that person of like, "I'm not looking for you to worry about my feelings. I want to know exactly why.
Yeah.
I want you to know like, well, Greg, because you came on too strong in the beginning, or well, Greg, because I don't think you know my industry." It's like, great, I'm going to go learn that industry.
Yep.
And I just find being able to not only request feedback, but also get to the point where you've created psychological safety between you and the other person, to the point that they'll give it to you
Sure.
in a constructive way that you actually learn is,
Yeah. And like,
everybody has an ego.
yeah, data dump.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me why you don't like it.
Yeah.
Like, why did you cancel? I don't care. Well, I don't care you canceled. It's
Yeah.
And the nice part is and I always get the scapegoat of it's $97.
Yeah.
Right? Like, look, you canceled. It's $97.
Yeah.
I'm still eating dinner tonight. Like, don't sweat it. All right. Don't feel bad. Like, I get
Yeah.
it. Life happens.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'd love to know why you canceled. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to berate you. Like, I think a lot of people actually are afraid that I'm going to like berate them after, like, I'm like, no, I don't care. Come back when you're ready.
Like now we're circling back all the way to the beginning of the conversation, but like you might have a niche and that person might be outside of it. Like
100%.
it might be like, hey, look, I am now, I don't know the exact situation, but the content that you're putting out isn't the right fit for me right now.
Yep.
And that's fine.
Yep. I had one guy say it was hustle culture.
Yeah.
Which I think is comical, but
yeah,
I'm like, no, hey, look, if you think I'm hustle culture, your opinion, that's probably the only thing I'll disagree with out of everything that I do is I'll say it's hustle culture, because it was funny today. I gave some people like you get it, you're from South Jersey, but like the Northeast hustle is no joke.
Yeah,
it's unhealthy, but it's the standard, right?
Direct communication,
instant feedback.
Yeah.
If I say I'm going to get it to you tomorrow, unless my wife is giving birth to their kid, you better have it on my desk tomorrow.
Like I'm from Philly area. I'm an Eagles fan. Like we're known for this, and
Yeah.
like, we embrace it. Like it's like, are there things about that Northeast culture where we can be better? Absolutely, there are.
100%.
And at the same time, I do identify with the hustle culture, the like do things fast and efficiently, and sometimes it's a problem. Like sometimes I'm doing things too efficiently, and the people around me. That's not a compliment to myself. It's sort of like there are actually times where, let's say you're getting off an airplane, like you don't actually have to get into the taxi 1 minute after you get off the airplane. It's actually okay if it's 4 minutes, but it's like I am programmed to hustle and be efficient, and you get 24 hours and get as many things done in the day as possible. And I think there are times where you just have to step back from that.
That was the best part about moving down south.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Is it just like, it definitely pumps. And I moved down south and I no longer have a real life almost. Like I don't go see anybody in person.
Yeah.
The only thing I do in person is like whatever I do with my wife and our foster child. But like, or I go to darts. I go to darts Tuesdays. I take darts not super seriously, but I take it seriously enough.
You guys can't see this, but Harrison has a dartboard here. And when I came in, I threw a dart. I'm not actually good at darts. I did not know that you played darts. I was going to challenge you after this. I'm not challenging. Like, this is stupid. Why would I do this?
I'm not that good, but it is. And like the cool part about the darts league that I play in is everyone there is like, for the most part, like pretty darn successful. Like
Yeah.
we have like airline pilot, like we have airline pilots in there, mortgage guys, real estate agents, financial advisors. Like it's like
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's all white collar
Those
because
groups
it's
are
not.
also super helpful. I would say the best, like I've gotten so many good referrals so far, but the best one I got was from someone in a golf group that I'm in
Yeah.
to a different business owner. And this is like way outside of anyone I ever would have met on my own, but
Yep.
like those social, athletic, or activity based things are really good.
100%.
Yeah.
Hundred
It's a
percent.
really good way of getting referrals.
I don't even do. I mean, like nobody. My wife barely knows what an MSP is.
Yeah.
You know, I think she only knows it because she, you know, especially when I was at home, I was like recording and I still record some in the house, but like it's osmosis, right? The walls are only so thick
Yeah.
in a residential home, right? So I still don't think she fully understands what an MSP is, which is fine. Like I don't
Yeah.
particularly care. It's like it's very 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 niche, but it is kind of comical, but like you know, those people, they kind like even I don't even tell that like most people are like, what do you do for work? I'm like, I'm a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, what do you YouTube? And I'm like, I teach IT companies how to sell and market. And they're like, well, what's an IT company? Like, what do they do? I'm like,
Yeah.
they just fix the technology problems that are broken in a small business. And I leave it super vague. Unless they happen to be in like a small business or anything like that. That's really the only time I go deeper. And then they're like, well, okay, can you explain it a little more? And then I go into it. And they're like, that exists.
Yeah.
And I'm
You know
like,
what I did?
yes.
I told everyone I was going on a podcast, and when they asked which one, I said Joe Rogan with straight face.
My old podcast, the Brutally Honest podcast, was like Joe Rogan's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. I took and it used to be 3 hours long. I wouldn't let you off the show if it was less than 2 hours. I wouldn't even allow you to come on the show unless you committed to doing at least 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it was no joke.
Yeah, it's good format.
Um,
I actually like at this point I listen to long podcasts, but I do. I mean, this goes back to the Northeast thing. I do listen to them on 2x. Everybody sounds super smart on 2x.
yeah, because there's
You don't hear the ums or the ahs.
there's no
or-
gaps.
You're like, wow, how did that person think of that so quickly? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a process too, getting rid of ums and ahs. I still do a couple, but
Best broadcaster I ever worked with. The guy went on to be like a main anchor in New York, and then he wanted to go back to Cleveland. But he did that all the time, ums and ahs. He was just really personable and a great storyteller. I don't think you should be saying and ah constantly,
sure.
but it's human.
Yeah,
Right?
you are human.
Yeah, yeah.
You are human.
Yeah.
And I remember like if somebody was telling me like you're always supposed to put space in between that or like give it dead space. And I try to um so back in the day I took a public speaking class. This is so far off from MSPs, but I took a public speaking class.
Dude, we're not even in the
Yeah,
country
we're
anymore.
and look,
Yeah,
if you're still listening, I love you to death. We're just we're riffing now. But I took for my
I have to
associate's
cut out
degree.
a couple pieces of this.
No, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. I took a public speaking class and we were we were supposed to present.
Why'd you take it?
I needed to for credits. And I
Okay.
was like, all right,
So you didn't think that you were a bad public speaker?
I didn't think I was a good public speaker, but I just imagine I was like, this is. I also always try to like challenge myself in
Yeah.
certain things, like, oh, I would really love, like, I love embracing the suck. Like, I love the suck. Like, the worse it is, the better it is. Always. I have so many terrible stories. Like, not like genuinely terrible, but like
This must have been some cringeworthy stuff.
miserable stories.
Yeah.
Miserable stories. Like I ended up walking 7 miles home, soaking. It's not even home to go get a national a park ranger because me and my fraternity brothers were idiots and we did not realize that they released the dam at certain times. So we tried to go when they weren't releasing the dam, and we were getting stuck. And we bought the boats. So it wasn't like we rented, so you could we bought the boats and we went out and I had to walk 7 miles home soaking wet. That was and it goes into more gruesome stuff than that. But back to the original part, I went to a public speaking class.
Yeah.
And we, presenting all this, I totally forgot. I was at the beach, right? Because I grew up on Long Island, you're constantly at the beach, and it was like I think it was like summer was like around the corner. And I was at the beach and I was like, oh, I gotta go to class. Get in my car, race back, and I pretty much live in shorts, t-shirt, and flip-flops.
Right.
Exclusive. I wore shoes for you. And
Appreciate it, but do you?
yeah, and so of course everyone's in suits
Yeah.
except me, right? And I'm like, oh god, I was like, this is presenting day. Like I totally forgot. I just knew I had to be in class,
Yeah.
right? I see people in the hall. I'm like, where are we? And they're like, oh, we're in the auditorium, right? And I'm like, oh my god, right? And then it's a chair, it's a chair, a desk, and a chair, and everyone's watching you. And you're supposed to do like a mock interview or something like that. And at the time, I had been bartending. I think I was bartending at the time, so I was very good at thinking on my feet. And so it was my turn to go. Right, of course, I got first day or whatever it was. And the teacher was like, well, thank you for coming into this interview. I was like, yeah, no problem. And she's like, I see you're not dressed appropriately. I go, and I was like, what is the slickest thing that I could say right now? And I go, you're right. I am not dressed appropriately. And I want to apologize for that. Second of all, this interview, I don't know if your secretary told you, but this interview is actually scheduled for next Tuesday. And I told the secretary that I was at the beach and I wasn't available to come in. And she thoroughly insisted that I showed up today. So I have to apologize for that. But if your secretary wasn't so insistent on me coming in, I would have been prepared in my normal
Yeah.
dress next week. So, but apparently you were very eager to see me. So I think we should dive into this. You could have heard a pin drop in that room. Every kid was like, how did you just pull that
Yeah.
out of thin air?
Yeah.
Right. And even the professor was like, that was the greatest comeback. I ended up getting like a B on it because I wasn't dressed appropriately. And meanwhile, I'm shaking, right? I released the first videos. I'm shaking. Even now, I still release a video. I'm like, I hope nobody bashes me. And every once in a while, I get somebody, somebody that's like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'm like,
Yeah, but there's comfortable nerves to that.
100%.
Like even the best athletes in the world say they're a little nervous before the game.
100%.
Like if that goes away, it's probably become boring to you, and you're honestly probably putting out crap content.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even still,
I was nervous coming into this.
Oh,
yeah,
it's easy.
It is easy, but it's like, okay, I was always on the other side of the camera, and now I have to talk about myself, and I yeah. Maybe someone sees it and says, "Hey, I absolutely want to talk to him," or maybe someone sees it and or cuts up one thing and says, there's a million reasons why you can be nervous.
100%.
I've enjoyed it. I feel super comfortable, but like you're always gonna have some nerves.
100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was I don't know. I like embracing the sucking. If I was like, all right, I could just like not do it, right? And I could probably take a great hit and come back prepared next week, or I could just bang through it, make the best of a scenario, a situation, and that was it.
Yeah. And let me ask you something, because you said it from the beginning. You said, I'm not always the biggest fan of private equity. Tell me, give me like, lay it on us. This is me being like, oh, give us real feedback. What do you not like about private equity?
Most of the time,
yeah,
people look at private equity or see it, right, and watch it as they're going to go in and suck the good parts out of the business.
Say more.
In the pursuit of maximum profit, right? I know for a fact I can charge way more money for my membership. I know for a fact it's actually the number one reason. If people don't buy, that is the number one reason. They don't see the value in it because they don't spend enough money. Without fail. If I talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, I was thinking about it, but I don't think it's for me. And I'm like, why? They're like, it's too cheap.
This is like the theory of if you're trying to get rid of something and you put it on the curb and it says free, everyone thinks it's crap. But if you say it's $10, then all of a sudden they want it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And I'm like, no, it's literally the best membership you'll ever buy in your entire life. And I think, or at least for MSPs, and I think that like what the public sees as like what private equity has done for businesses, for the most part. No, not all, not every business, not all private equity is all made the same, right? But my thought process is, and I won't name the big company, but there's one big company in the space that buys a bunch of businesses. And then innovation goes to zero.
Yeah.
It's whatever that last iteration of the product is the iteration of the product that will be there indefinitely, right? Yes, there's some minor innovation there, but it's pretty much dead in the water. Yeah. And that rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, this is one of the best answers I've ever heard for why you don't like private. Like generally what I hear is they're trying to screw me. They're going to get rid of me in the first week or whatever. Like I hear these types of
that's what you have terms for. That's why you read those things.
Yeah, exactly. Like what you're saying.
That's just on education.
Is like, hey, I love innovation.
Yeah.
I get to do really fun stuff with this business and you're going to give me a check, but you're going to get rid of all of this innovation. It's not going to be about growth. It's just going to be about optimizing. You're going to lay off all my people, like those types of things.
That they place their trust and security in me and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I think as humans, right, as consumers, we see what private equity does in a variety of different businesses, right? Now, and I just had a recent experience right? So Chipotle got acquired not that long ago for a massive amount of money. I went to Chipotle. There was one that just finally opened up in town. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Love Chipotle,
Yeah.
right? Me and my neighbor go, super excited. We go 3 hours before we planned on it because I'm like, oh my God, they open at 10:45 or whatever hour of the
Yeah.
day it is. I'm like, maybe they do something great for the first people in the door, right? Which is usually what restaurants do,
Right.
right? Oh, thank you so much for coming, whatever it is. And I'm not thinking, like, I'm like, a shirt just to show. I've spent I probably 10 grand minimum in my entire lifetime with
Yeah.
Chipotle between my own, me consuming, and it's probably low compared to some other people, and me providing lunch for other people, right? Whether
Yeah.
it's bowls or catering orders, right? And I went in, not a handshake from the managers, not a, hey, thank you so much for being here, for being one of the, we waited online outside in the middle of wintertime.
Yeah.
Granted, winter in North Carolina is pretty mild,
No, I get it.
but like we were there
This also
and
sounds like a blown opportunity.
100%.
Like you would have posted that. You would
100%.
have told all your friends to go to this
100%.
place. I bet
And
you
now
had
I'm
your
like,
burrito and you were like, F it.
yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Cool.
They got
Just
$10 out of you. They could have got hundreds of dollars
more,
out of you.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a raving fan anymore.
Yeah.
Like I was like, wow, that was the biggest letdown ever. Right. And I get it. Like, I don't expect them to do it for everybody.
Right.
But like, I'm reading online, oh, they usually do something for the first 100 people. Now I'm getting, and the crazy, I'm selling my neighbor on the idea of let's go 3 hours early, right? Let's go super early.
Yeah.
And for them to just drop the ball, right? And like, Jersey Mike's just got bought.
They did. Yeah. By the biggest PE in the world, Blackstone.
And I'm sure that their quality is about to go through the floor, right? Maybe, maybe not.
I don't know.
But like I feel like a lot of times we see private equity get involved with certain things, and it sucks the good parts that we as consumers love out of it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, McDonald's, same thing, right? Like McDonald's used to be made with, and look, it's also capitalism too, and that's a whole nother side of things. But like they used to be only made with tallow and that they'd fry their fries in, and now it's all these chemicals. And I don't really eat fast food for the most part, like almost at all. I haven't had McDonald's in probably 15 years.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think you're right. Like I think you're right. I think private equity can be awful and it can be good.
Yeah.
And like I worked, so when I was at AWS, my customers were private equity firms. And much larger. Like they're buying huge companies. It's really big P's, Apollo, Bain,
Yep.
Blackstone, all of that. And there was a time where we got to see it. So I mean, your audience probably knows this, but like AWS is very heavily reliant on implementation partners. Someone wants to migrate from on-prem to the cloud, they're going to hire, especially if they're a smaller company, they're going to hire a systems integrator to do it. And then, by the way, pitch, like this is kind of why I want to do MSPs, because I think it's actually a great growth channel in terms of after the migration happens, someone that has to run day two operations and having all those relationships, it's like, that's a great way to grow. So I'm really big on channel partnerships. But anyway, we in our role as sales or business development, we would often recommend certain implementation partners. Well, one of them got bought by private equity. And for the first 4 years, they were an awesome implementation partner.
Sure.
The thing is, when private equity bought it, there was an expectation that in the 5th or 6th year, they were going to sell it for a huge amount of money because it was going to be profitable and all these other things. And it wasn't that case. And so now we're used to recommending this partner, and all of a sudden this partner is now doing terrible work.
Dropping the ball everywhere.
Or doing things that are just so outside the norm of what, like we're doing a POC around, this is like 2023. So like around just do anything on Gen AI POC. Like let's just learn Gen AI, anything. And during that conversation, this partner is like pitching private pricing agreements with 3-year commitments and all this other stuff. And you're like, this just doesn't make sense. This is bad for the
because they're trying to raise their valuation.
Because private equity is in this like, hey, we were supposed to sell at year 7 and we have to do X, Y, and Z. And so nothing cyclical, nothing related to a macroeconomic factor. All of a sudden, this portfolio company is acting in a way that's not good for customers because they're trying to please their investors. I hated it.
Yes.
Like I hated it. I'm not going to name it, but I was like, oh, I don't like this. So then, okay, so now it's like, well, wait a minute, Greg, but you now work for private equity. And I think what it comes down to is you find a group of people that are aligned to growth. Like this is it. This is like all I care about.
Yep.
Right. And so, yes, would any good company or private equity firm look at certain ways that you can optimize some cost stuff? Like if, for example, you already have an agreement with a supplier that will, on something that's not super core, like maybe the supplier that like, I don't know, does something not core to your customers and you can get a discount, sure, do that, fine. But really, I found a firm that's just like, we're just going to grow. That's it. Growth. Let's find, like our ideal business is It's been held or owned, or it's never taken investment before. The owner has been there for a little while and is like, I'm ready for the next thing. We want all of our owners to stick around.
Sure.
There's a lot of different terms for that, but like rolling over equity, and so that they'll spend time because they believe in their business, and all of those things. So I found one that I'm like, okay, I actually like what you guys do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to partner with that.
Yeah. And
But
I
there's
think
a lot of
that's
private equity that I would never work with for in a million years.
Yep, and I think that that's like the core problem. Like I think, and look, it's you have bad eggs and good eggs in every business,
For
right?
sure.
Unfortunately, the umbrella over private equity probably has more bad eggs than good eggs,
I'm
right?
fine with that.
Or
Yeah.
it's more publicly known
Yeah.
about the bad eggs, right?
I don't even disagree with you.
And
Yeah.
and that is usually my hesitation. Like I'm all for it. Like if you want to sell your business, get that bag. Like that's the
Exactly.
whole point. Like
Exactly.
cash out, but the ethical side of me, right? Because I love capitalism, but there's also some things that I agree on. Maybe not complete socialism, but like there are some things on the other side of things where I'm like, damn, like that was like a really good product. Like I can't, nothing comes to mind like right off the rip of like companies that have been bought that I'm like,
Yeah.
but it occasionally it'll happen where I'm like, all the good things that got
There's something
sucked out
that's
of that
happened to a
business.
lot of MSPs, and this is where, so, and we're talking about private equity, but this also happens in real estate or anything
Mhm.
where there's a deal. I feel like when there's a deal that needs to happen, what often goes wrong is that in order to get the deal done, somebody is telling someone on the other side something that they think they want to hear.
Mhm.
And to me, it's like, just tell them exactly what's going to happen.
Yep.
If you're buying an MSP because you already own 20 MSPs and but you don't have one in Kansas,
Mhm.
so I'm going to buy a Kansas MSP. Just tell that person up front, hey, we're going to write you a check that you're really happy with, but you're not really going to have influence in this business. Like, you're taking money and you're cashing out.
Yes.
And that's fine.
Don't sell them on the idea that they're still going to stick around, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and then
Because
they
then
get
what happens
canned.
is they get given a fake title and they're gone in a short period of time. And it's like, just be honest about it. And if you can't close the deal based on what you're honestly going to do, then don't do it.
Then don't do the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the same goes like, now we're just riffing, but when I bought the place that I live in recently, one of my frustrations, because I bought it at a time when the market was going down,
Mhm.
interest rates were going up. It was like early 2023 and prices were going down. And the issue that you're dealing with is all of these realtors, in order to get seller listings, had told the sellers things that were unrealistic. And so now, me as a buyer, I'm actually offering a price that makes total sense based on the market.
Sure.
But these sellers are now in a position where it's like they have to slowly go back to their buyers and basically tell them, "Hey, I kind of lied to you to get the listing."
Yeah.
And it's like anything else. It's like information changes, and just be honest about that. But just be honest about what you're trying
Yeah.
to do.
100%.
You know. And
100%.
there are certain businesses where we would look at it and say, "Oh my gosh, stay for a really long time." And there are other businesses where we might say, "Oh, like stay for a year." And it's like, just be honest about it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's where PE goes wrong. I think MSPs right now are getting checks that they're generally pretty happy with,
Sure.
but some of the things that happen after the fact, they're
Not happy with.
not happy with.
Not happy with.
And it's like, what's the point?
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
And for me, I'm only
And it
getting,
also makes for a terrible customer experience.
it does.
We're not even talking like, yeah, the MSP gets hurt and everybody in the MSP ends up getting hurt. But then stuff rolls downhill. And then the customer at the end of the day is pissed because, they're trying to outsource technicians to other countries. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? If
Right.
they're good, but if they're not good or they're not used to it and all that kind of stuff, then they're trying to scratch at the lowest, the cheapest labor.
Yeah.
And then that hurts the quality of the
That's why let's
experience.
just do this.
Growth
Let's just
generators.
grow. Let's
Oh,
just grow. Because then it's like, great. We're not necessarily going to do these things and growing organically.
Sure.
Yes, we'll look at a couple
Sure.
acquisitions, not generally a roll up, but a couple acquisitions. But growing organically kind of requires you to do good stuff by the customer.
Yep.
And all the stuff that you're describing, if done incorrectly, can be bad by the customer. So we don't necessarily want to do that. The one other thing that I'll say is like, I only get one business, whereas a PE firm in general will invest in a lot of different businesses. I'm essentially going to work with that business. So like, there is no value in me. And
So if you buy a business in Miami, you're moving to Miami.
yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's a different conversation.
Sure.
But I am going to become part of the business that we buy. And
Mhm.
so why would I even remotely want to set that up negatively by
Sure.
either?
And then you don't want to take on the headaches either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm selective. Like, look, it's hard right now because there is like, especially MSPs, like I told you, they're getting constant emails, but it's also like got to be a good situation for both of us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta make sense in both realms.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that's why, like, I think most PE gets a bad rap because it's just the you know, one bad apple spoils the bunch, but the
Yeah.
problem is that one bad apple happens to be the one that also gets all of the media attention, and then
Yeah.
people are looking at that problem, and then, "Oh, there's another bad apple." And I would be willing to bet there's probably a ton of PE in your world, that
Yeah.
that does what the more ethical side of things, but, like,
Yeah.
those are not the ones that get all the attention,
Yeah.
sadly.
Yeah.
So people see it as like "Oh, that kinda sucks" type thing.
Yeah. And I also think, look, I'm in PE because I want to be an operator.
Sure.
That's why, to me, I'm like, okay, this is the fastest way where I can be part of a business and grow a business and all
Sure.
of those things. And I don't have the guts that you have to start my own, right?
Sure.
Um, a lot of people who are in PE are more on the investor side. The investor side is often, um, it's like, what are the stereotypes? It's like, you know, sit in an office, Patagonia vests, this and that. But then you're buying businesses that are maybe a little bit, there's just a mismatch. It's
Sure.
just like,
Sure.
who is this New York this or Chicago this or whatever it might be?
Yeah.
And
Even growth through acquisition in the MSP world is not always done well. I see it all the time. Even
yeah, yeah,
MSPs growing up, buying other MSPs.
yeah,
Oh my God, oh my, like, hey, if you want me to come in and consult, by all means, because the amount of botched opportunities, and I've
yeah,
seen so many of them. One of my good friends who I helped their MSP grow sold for I don't even want it to remotely get back to me knowing the right amount of money because I do, and I'm not supposed to say it, but
yeah,
we'll call it less than $100 million.
yeah.
Um,
More than $1.
way more than $1.
Yeah,
They're between 1 and 100 million.
yeah,
I'll leave it at that. And I saw it, and like I got to see all the aspects. They were a competitor of mine. I worked with them, and then and then I saw what PE did, and it's been good. But I heard it from customers that
yeah,
had ended up, going with them and still stayed in touch with them, and I'm just like,
yeah,
damn.
yeah,
But then, like, my friends that own the business got
yeah,
paid,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so
Look,
I
there's a
mean,
lot of flavors right now. I mean, if you just want to check and you want to be part of, there's actually, I mean, you've mentioned one or alluded to one, but like there's 3 or 4 of these. There's one right now that just announced their 100th acquisition, um, and so that's an option. We're not the right buyer for that.
sure,
If you're just like, hey, I want to check, and it becomes a math game, and you're going to be, one of 100 in this case MSPs. We're not the right buyer for that.
yeah, yeah,
If you're like, hey, I still want to grow a lot, or maybe I want to be we'll use the term platform and add on, and platform is essentially the first one,
mhm,
right? Hey, I want to be the platform. I want to be the one that over time acquires a couple others and
sure,
this and that. Then we're the right one for you. And we own 2 of them, in which the M&A stuff has gone super well. In some cases, the M&A, and one of them, the M&A made the business so much better. It was what we would call like a transformative
mhm,
acquisition in which there were cultural things about one that made the original business even better. And so that's another reason why I chose to work with this firm, Next Gen Growth Partners, because they had a history and of doing really great stuff with MSPs and niche stuff too. We own one that is in the K through 12 space in the Midwest, and you know the customers love it.
yeah.
It's
I look,
it's
there's
needed.
there's definitely good things that happen out there,
Yeah,
right? And cash needs to grow, and you need cash to grow, and you need at some point or another you're gonna have to sell your MSP. It's just figuring
yeah,
out
and you're
what's the
doing awesome
best.
stuff for them. Like we had a phone call. Like you're, or I just was a fly on the wall for a phone call because that's my jam. I just fucking now you have to edit that out. I have to edit that out. We probably should. But anyway, um, you have some people that are at the early stages and you're helping them grow 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now. They're then going to want to sell.
Yeah,
And that's going to be huge success.
yeah,
You want them to sell.
a hundred
You
percent,
want to say I was there from day one. I
dude. I
was
just had a girl
yeah.
killer, killer. Her case study is gonna go up, so I think I can publicly announce her number now.
Yeah.
She didn't own an MSP and built it in 2 years.
Yeah.
More, in my opinion, like 15-ish months, because the first couple months took her a while to figure her feeding out. So you'll see 2 years to 15 months. Built it and sold it for $3.4 million.
It's amazing.
And like,
It's amazing.
get that bag,
It's
right?
amazing.
Like, and
Yeah.
and she sold it to another firm, another MSP, and
It's amazing.
and like I know her history, and I will
That's
never
a
say it, but
life-changing
like that
experience.
is 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is your lifestyle going to change dramatically? Yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
want to make that money go as far as you can, right? But like from the lifestyle that they lived and the cash they had before till now, that's a
She's
massive
also an
difference.
exited executive, like her career opportunities.
Everything.
She can consult for the rest of her
She doesn't
life.
even want to. She
Yeah.
just wants a W-2 job. She doesn't even want it. She doesn't want no responsibility.
Yeah.
And hey, God bless.
Yeah.
But now
But she has the flexibility to do whatever she wants.
there's never a worry about where the next,
Yeah.
oh, we don't have we'll always just compounding interest alone will make that family enough money they'll never have to worry about
This is 2 years.
2 years
Oh
in and
my
out
God.
from $0. Like I tell friends and competitors like my success stories of like my customers,
Yeah.
and they're like, that is like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I actually don't know.
You're the guy making up the LinkedIn stories.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Like
Yeah.
it
Because
is
sometimes there are some stories on there where you're like, oh, that's
like
Yeah.
it is like I don't even believe it. They're my customers. I see maybe not every dollar, but like I've seen the back door. I've seen their QuickBooks. I've seen their deals.
Yeah.
I've consulted on the deals. And even I'm like, is this like rubbing my eyes? Like, is this reality? Like, did I actually help somebody get there?
Right.
Right? Like, I don't know. I think that's like the coolest part. And this is not a pitch for MSP Heroes, but like, it's just like, and I get super like I don't see a dollar of that. Like,
Right.
and I'm totally fine with that. But like that's freaking cool.
It's really
It's so freaking cool. Like,
it's really cool.
oh my God. And then like I lived through that high of like they got at, like I helped somebody. I don't consider myself in the rat race because I make more than enough money to live and I would argue say I live the coolest lifestyle that I want to live. That I
Full
want to live.
fridge.
Full fridge of alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks, and
Yeah.
I get my little place, and my office is 2 miles from my house. If I need to go home to see the dogs or whatever it is, I built my business for the lifestyle. It makes more than enough money that I need to live. I'm unbelievably content with everything. And do I want more? Of course I want more. I'm working on massive projects right now.
Right.
But
is that so for me, I'm actually not driven by the want more from a financial side. I'm driven by like, hey, I just really like doing cool stuff. And oftentimes financial things do come from the cool stuff. Like I, for example, want to experience being an executive in a business. Once I'm in that business, I love sales.
Mhm.
I'm going to do everything I can to grow that business.
Sure.
The end product of that in the best situation will be financial gain for me, but I'm not actually motivated by the financial gain. I'm motivated by the process and the innovation and creating new stuff.
No, I'm financial gain.
Interesting.
I'm financial.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But like I'm not greedy. And I think that's the big thing.
Yeah.
I'm very motivated by money, right? Growth generators exist because I need to make money, right?
Yeah.
MSP Heroes exist because I need to make money,
Yeah.
right? But I don't need to make disgusting amounts of money.
Yeah.
Now, full transparency.
But you could do a job like this is a job you love.
Yeah.
You could do jobs you don't like and make money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not fully just motivated by money.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, it would have to be something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, there's no doubt. Like, I want to drive a Lamborghini one day. Like, I would like to own.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to be like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars rich, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't be bad. But like, I definitely want to own, and like, I don't care. Like, I don't wear jewelry. I'm married. I don't wear a wedding ring. Like, I don't need the flash stuff. Do I want a Rolex? Who doesn't want a Rolex? One of my old office mate actually got me really big into watches, but I like watches for what watches are, not like because they're flashy, right? Minus the Rolex.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of brands, Elise Nardin and Louis Monet and so many others.
Have you tried Fitbit? This was $80.
I did. I used to live with a Fitbit on.
Yeah.
24/7.
Really?
Yeah. And and my wife got me a smartwatch. I'm like, hey, just return it. And she's like, really? I'm like, I wore it for like a week and a half, and I was like, and I just would catch myself not putting, like, I'd have to make an intentional effort to put it on because I wanted to track my sleep. But like, I don't know, like, I'm just
Look,
comfortable with who I am, I guess. I don't know. Like, I want to drive a sports car, but like, I don't want to drive a sports car because it's flashy. I want to drive because of the performance and all that.
This is a no judgment thing. It's just I was just thinking as you were talking, and I'm like, well, anyone who says that they don't care about money at all, like they're probably just independently wealthy. So
Sure.
that's another reason to say that. So it's not that I don't care at all, but really, truly, like, I think this has to do with.
I would care more about passion.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not necessarily growing things.
Yeah.
But like, what am I passionate about? Like, like I truly like it sounds so super nerdy, but like I'm truly passionate about like MSPs.
Yeah.
Like I think it's the coolest thing in the world. Like I would spend forever sitting at somebody's desk and just being like, "Tell me all about your MSP.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need help with? Like,
Yeah.
where can I add value into that
Yeah.
business? Where do you,
Yeah.
what are you doing right that I never saw that
And
somebody
it's
did
really
right?"
good that you get paid to do it. Like I was joking in the beginning, but so my first job was in Gainesville, Florida. I was 22. I was a TV reporter. I was what
Mhm,
we call a one man band. I was actually in a bureau called Ocala, which is like south of Gainesville.
mhm,
It meant that I had to find the story, I had to shoot it, I
sure.
had to front it, I had to do literally everything. And up until maybe the last 3 months, it was the best job I ever had.
Yeah,
What do you think I made?
probably 30, $40,000 a year.
That'd be awesome. Nine. No, it was 2006, but
Okay.
I made 19.5, right? And then I won't say the numbers, but then after I went to business school and I went to be a consultant, I made major multiples of 19.5,
Sure.
right? Was way less happy,
Yeah.
you know. And now hopefully I'm finding something that sort of does some kind of you get it all,
Yes.
right? But
Yes.
you know,
I
like
have it all.
yeah,
I have it all.
yeah,
I have no problem admitting it. I
yeah,
have it all.
yeah,
I don't make a ton of like
yeah,
I definitely make we do okay growth generators and I know that like we've realistically only been around for what 2 years,
yeah,
not even
yeah,
like yes I had Barry Media Group before that, but like I don't have any of my old. I have like one or two of my legacy customers. That's it,
yeah,
and then I just do like little odd jobs here and there because I find it fun. Like I
yeah,
love hearing about their business and what they're doing.
yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, like we're like fresh start, and like I'm very happy, and I'm super excited for the future, and like I'm passionate. Like I love. I
Right,
guess you're right. Maybe it is. Maybe it is the creating part that I'm
right.
like I
There's nothing
love.
wrong with being motivated by a Lamborghini. Like that's
Sure.
great. I have
Yeah.
zero judgment for that. Um, in talking to you in this wide ranging conversation, if that was all you cared about, there would be other ways to get there.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
yeah,
not. It's definitely not the only thing I care
yeah.
about.
There's schemes that have happened over the past few years. You could
Thousand
be
percent.
like, oh, I'm just going to learn everything about this financial
I
product.
could charge $10,000 a month. I could charge ten thousand
Yeah,
dollars and just sell my membership, and then take money from people, and then,
yeah.
it's you
But
get
you
the
wouldn't want to do that because now all of a sudden, like that, the issue with that, I'm putting words in your mouth, is the guy who becomes a member and starts his business from scratch would not be